Hey guys, it's Core Ross and Rainbow Six News. Today we are breaking down some new information on the villain of Rainbow Six Siege, which is Deimos. And we're also going to be breaking down why I believe he's going to be a playable character in Rainbow Six Siege and possibly how this is all going to play out over the next 6 to 9 months. So first of all, I'll catch you up with the lore that is behind this new villain, as we've had quite a bit since the original cinematic. I'll also say spoilers, because the cinematic does have a surprise ending that is worth seeing if you have not watched it. I'll put links in the description right now so you can go ahead and watch them, but let's now continue with the video. So Deimos showed up to Harry's home. Now Harry is a married man with children, and Deimos ended up telling him that he didn't like the way Rainbow Six was going, basically like a toxic fan, and executed Harry at the end of the video. At the same time this was playing out, Team Rainbow were being led into a trap, which ended with an explosion which put Ash in a coma and severely hurt Thermite. It should also be noted that Deimos was watching all of this on live feeds from Team Rainbow's onboard cameras, so he's also in Team Rainbow's systems. Now us as the fans got to find out quite a lot of information during the cinematic. So first of all, he used a large Magnum style weapon, kind of similar to the Ghosts in Ghost Recon Breakpoint. We also found out that he was previously part of Rainbow Six. We don't know what station he was, if he was a higher up in command or someone lower down. And Harry knew who he was. He used his codename, which is Deimos, but it was also clear that Harry knew him personally and would have worked with him at some point in the past, which means he would have known also his real name. And at this point, I believe we know more than the Rainbow Six operators, because I do not believe they know that he was originally in Rainbow Six and his identity. They keep referring to him as Deimos, but they've never mentioned knowing more about him, like being part of Rainbow in the past and stuff like that. So as far as I can tell, the Rainbow Six operators don't know as much as us, the audience. And then this story then continued with Viper Strike managing to track this guy down, get into his cargo plane, and then attempt to actually assassinate him on that plane. And they almost did it, with Brava having an opportunity to take him out, but instead saved Capital's life. But we found out that Deimos is very well funded, with his cargo plane being full of gold and money. The next step in the story was a comic which came out just a couple of days ago, showing Viper Strike actually going after some intel, this time in Brazil, that they were able to get on the aircraft. Apparently someone had left some intel there that gave them a location and they went out. However, this ended up being yet another trap, and they were saved by a Swedish person. Or to be more specific, the next new Rainbow Six Siege operator who's coming in Season 2, who is a Swedish operator in the Year 8 roadmap. Now we do get to see a silhouette of this new operator, but it doesn't reveal much. It could be male or female, and we've got some maybe like pouches and stuff there. So this could be quite a kind of tactical looking operator, but there is really not much to go on. But this person claims to be betraying Deimos and switching sides to Team Rainbow. However, even though this is a new Rainbow Six operator that will be in the game and playable, I do not believe this is a good guy. I think this is another villain. This person also reveals some very interesting information about Deimos, which I think we should take very literally. And it is this line where he or she says, "I was stuck. Deimos, he's everywhere. It's a long story." Now, I'm going to take that very literally. I believe there is like 100 different Deimoses out there. And of course, this guy wears a black mask and outfit. So anyone can put that on and pretend to be him. So I think there's going to be hundreds of them out in the world, and they're going to show up all over the place. I think that's going to be probably revealed in the next lore story. And there's only one true one, which I'm going to get into deeper. But I think we already know who Deimos is and where he is right now. So let's move on now to my theory about the bad guy. So after seeing Deimos for the first time, I had this kind of idea of how I would go about writing the character. So first of all, previous Rainbow Six operator, I would not make him a past hero that's gone bad and come back, because that kind of sounds bad, making a past hero a bad guy. What I would do though, is I would bring back a past hero to help defeat him. So I could imagine one of the operators this year actually being a big character from past Rainbow Six games. He would come back in and he would maybe take the 6th position, which is the leader of Team Rainbow, previously obviously occupied by Harry, and he or she could come in and then take over Rainbow Six, and the operator we get in game could be their younger self, because they would be pretty old by now. We have also seen some past characters from Rainbow Six Past appear in the lore. So for instance, when Glaz was getting his reworked thermal scope, because if you don't know, he used to have a scope with a red tint. That was his gadget. So there was an operator that came in to help create his thermal scope, and she was a past sniper from Team Rainbow in the past games, and she was a real character. So you could bring in someone like that to kind of take the sixth position and help hunt down this bad guy. And I would love to see a past character brought into Rainbow Six Siege, and I think it actually worked really well with Sam Fisher coming in as Zero, because originally I wasn't sure if it was going to work out like lore wise and story wise, and would he still be a cool character, and I think they did it really, really well. So I'd actually love to see an old Rainbow Six character come back and take the top spot, and then get a younger version of them actually as a playable character in game. However, I love the idea that what also might happen is they go out and they're like, okay, we've lost our six, we need to bring someone back in from the past, and they go out and they actually go to the real Deimos. They actually go to the villain and they recruit him back in, not knowing that he's the bad guy. And of course, he gets added into the game as a playable operator, but he has a Magnum for a secondary, just the normal French one. And then in a later battle pass, he gets his full outfit and the Magnum 3D skin to make him into Deimos. And that'd be pretty cool. Obviously, I don't actually think this is how things are going to play out, but let's talk about potential similarities between what I thought could be a good story and what might happen now. So, first of all, this new Swedish operator that we've just met in Brazil and has just apparently saved Team Rainbow. I'm going to assume he's a bad guy. He might even be the top bad guy, because if they don't know who he is, they got no way of identifying him. And if there's also a whole bunch of dudes out there in the Deimos outfits going around, they're not going to suspect this dude to be the bad guy. So it'd be quite funny if he ended up being the villain. Now, the only problem here is that this is Sweden's only character in the game so far once he gets added in, or she gets added in. And that would be kind of bad, maybe, to make the villain be your only character from that country actually join up. But I do also think the Swedish have a pretty good sense of humor, so they might embrace it. It also makes more sense as well when looking at the overall roadmap, because we can't have the main bad guy being from Korea, because then he would be a dude in a black suit with a black mask, and that's basically Vigil. However, the Portugal character could be, but unfortunately there is a bit of a logic problem here, because if this Swedish operator is Deimos, and he's been previously in Rainbow Six, then when he gets introduced to the other characters, they would probably know him, and they would at least be able to look up his information and know that, oh, you have actually been in Rainbow Six before. Although I will show you this picture. So this is Brava introducing the new operator to Hibana and Thermite. And the look on Hibana's face to me is one of shock, like she knows this person. So maybe they do. However, it's a comic. We may not be able to take much away from the actual facial expressions, but I do get the familiarity that she knows who this is. We'll find out obviously in the future if this actually is a previous Rainbow Six operator. If it is, I'm going to just call it out now that this is Deimos, but if it's not, then I don't believe it is Deimos. But I am certain that this Swedish operator is a bad guy. But ultimately, my theory here is that Deimos is going to end up being a playable character in Rainbow Six Siege, just like the other operators, with his own special gadget and loadout. And maybe it will simply be that he will be the operator in Season 1 of Year 9. That would actually make a lot of sense. You wouldn't need to give him a specific country. You don't even have to reveal his identity. You just have him as a kind of cool, playable character. And 100% I think that could also work really well. Whereas doing it based on my kind of theory might end up just being kind of corny, and the players will just see it right through it right from the start, and it wouldn't be as cool. Whereas adding in a character we don't know much about, that could actually be kind of cool as a one-off operator. There's also the possibility that he is indeed an actual hero from a previous game gone bad, and that could be played quite well, and you could also bring back some additional past characters either to help or hinder Team Rainbow. But anyway guys, thank you very much for watching. I'd love to hear your theories in the comments below. Is this just going to be kind of a generic bad guy with some light connection to Team Rainbow, or is it going to be an actual hero from the past or something else? And do you think this Swedish operator is going to be potentially a villain or Are they just actually there to help?